So we got the release of GoldHEN version 2.4b18.8 from Sistro, allowing us to now apply the patches for GoldHEN directly to our games, and also the ability to download and update the patches as well directly from GoldHEN itself, so you can update the cheats, patches, and plugins all within GoldHEN without an external Homebrew application. So to reflect this, I've gone ahead and created another hen loader all-in-one and all-in-one version of the Blu-ray exploit up to firmware 12.52. So just like my previous AIO versions, it contains all of the main utility Homebrew applications on the disk and the cheats, patches, and plugins for GoldHEN, so you can get everything installed and configured offline directly from the Blu-ray disc. And it will now, of course, run GoldHEN 2.4b18.8 directly from the disk when you run the jailbreak. And if you're using 12.50 or 12.52 firmware, it will use the poops exploit to do that. And of course, if you're on 12.02 or lower, it will default to using the lapse kernel exploit instead, which is more stable. It will apply the EIO patch, which is needed for the lapse exploit, and also, of course, run the latest GoldHEN build from the disk as well, and copy it to the data folder on the hard drive automatically. So it does all of that if you're on 12.2 or lower. So that's what the main version does, but I have also included a poops-only version that is just set up to use the poops blight and nothing else, and it will just use that to run the jailbreak on any firmware version. So if you just want to use the poops blight instead of lapse, then you can just use that version instead. So I'll leave both of those linked down in the video description. So anyway, let me go ahead and show you guys how to get this going. So first of all, if I switch over to my computer, you can download the ISO. I'll leave a link to it in the video description. You simply download it and then burn it to your Blu-ray disc. So insert a blank Blu-ray disc or a rewritable Blu-ray disc. Simply open up your image burning software of choice. I would recommend Image Burn. So I'll leave this software in the description too. You just select the option to write the image file to the disk, and then you can drag and drop the ISO that you downloaded into the software, or you can click the little folder icon to browse for it manually. And then once you've done that, you can simply write the image file to the disk by clicking the button to write, and that will write it on there. It still should only take a few seconds to write the image file, even though it is about 300 megabytes. And then once it is done writing, it will do a verification step, and once that's done, it should then tell you that it was completed successfully, at which point you can remove the disk and insert it into your PS4. And that brings us over to where we are right here with the disk inserted, all ready to run the jailbreak. I'll go ahead and disconnect from the internet so that I can set this up as a completely offline setup. So what we're going to do is run the hen loader all-in-one version. And this console's on 12.52. It may take a few attempts here to run. So we load it up. And there we go, that was successful. And there is GoldHEN version 2.4b18.8 is loaded. So nothing fancy here, it just loads up the exploit immediately. There's no fancy menus, because we just want it to load the payload as quickly as possible to get out of the Blu-ray disc. Now, of course, it will auto-close the Blu-ray player if you enable the feature within GoldHEN, but because we're loading it for the first time, that's not enabled. So the first thing we should do is go into our GoldHEN settings, go to the settings page, and then simply enable the BD app auto kill so that next time you run the Blu-ray exploit, it will look something like this, where it will start running, and then it will immediately, as soon as it runs the jailbreak successfully, it will immediately close the disc player automatically, return you back to the home menu with GoldHEN running. So you don't have to manually close the disc player yourself. So now that GoldHEN's running, we can also install all of the Homebrew applications directly off the disk by going into the GoldHEN menu, going to the debug settings, package installer, and then all of the Homebrew applications appear here, and we can install all of them to get them all installed directly onto the console from the disk with no internet connection required here. It will take a little bit longer to install them off the disk because of the slower read and write speeds, but these are fairly small applications, so it still shouldn't take too long. Okay, so once all the Homebrew applications are installed, they should appear here on the home menu, and we can press options and add them to a folder. And I'll just create a Homebrew folder to keep everything organized. And of course, we just select our Homebrew applications to add to the folder. So we'll just get them all added here and click confirm and OK, and that's them all added to our Homebrew folder. So at this point, we can then go ahead and install the cheats, patches, and plugins. Now, if you're connected to the internet, you can install them by heading to the GoldHEN menu and then going to the cheat settings and just updating the cheat archive to download the latest cheats online. For the plugins, you can go to the plugin settings, update the patch archive to get all the latest patches online, and then update the plugin archive to download all of the latest plugins online as well, over the internet. That's the easiest way, but if you're staying offline, then you can install them directly from the disk, in the same way as I've shown before, where we just run the PS4 Explorer application, which is our file manager, and we're going to select root access, and then we're going to go down to the MNT directory for mount, and then the disk directory, which is our Blu-ray disc, and then the extras folder. And in the extras folder, we have this cheats manager folder, so we're going to press triangle on that, and we're going to tell it to send to /data. And that will transfer that entire folder over to the data folder. So at which point we should then be able to simply close out of PS4 Exploiter, and then we can run our PS4 Cheats Manager. Now you may be thinking that we should be able to simply install the cheats patches and plugins offline from the GoldHEN menu, but that isn't actually true because there is an issue where the plugins updater actually requires an internet connection even if you're installing them locally. So it's still better to use this software at the moment to install the cheats patches and plugins offline. So we're going to select the update option here, and then we're going to use the option to update the cheats patches and plugins from the HDD. And then we have the cheats patches and plugins here, so we can update cheats from HDD, and that will extract the zip files that we copied over. And then we will also update the patches. There we go, successfully installed offline patch data. And then also we will update the plugins as well, and that will successfully install the offline plugin files. So that is basically it. So at that point, we should be good. We can just make sure that we have the cheats. If we go to cheats, it should load them. Loading game cheats, there we go, 2,901 cheats available. And we can also check the patches as well, and we can see all the patches are installed there too. So that's everything that we need. So we have everything updated offline directly from the disk. And of course, if we head back into our GoldHEN menu and go to the plugin settings, we can enable the plugins loader, make sure the game patch plugin is enabled, and we should be all good to be able to apply our plugins. So if we press the options button, we can go to the GoldHEN patch menu, and in here we have all of the patches that were successfully installed off the disk. So we can enable our 60 FPS patches, 720p patches, debug menus, developer menus, all that good stuff. And then if we load up the game, it will apply the patches. So we no longer need to apply patches in the Cheats Manager, which is quite handy that it's now built in to GoldHEN, into the GoldHEN menu system. And when the game is running, we can hold down the share button and that will bring up the cheats. And you can see all of the cheats have successfully been installed as well. Obviously, this is just one game, but there are many other games and there's multiple cheat files that you can switch between. So yeah, you've got your cheats and your patches successfully installed along with your plugins as well, all installed directly off the disk, and your main Homebrew utility applications also included, and with the latest version of GoldHEN 2.4b18.8, which is on the disk. So that's all included in this all-in-one Blu-ray disc, which will be left in the video description along with everything else you need. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Just a quick update there, as a lot of you guys have been requesting that I update the AIO version. So this is the updated version now available. So hope you guys enjoyed this one or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And once again, as always,